Man, all right, guys. I felt like I should make this video. It's going to be a short video, not so long, but then, just to put a few things kind of in perspective, because sometimes when I hear, I've also been guilty of doing the same. When you see these videos coming out of people talking about you succeeding on eBay, of course, you tend to hear things like, yes, you have to list items all the time. I do it as well, so it's not like I'm kind of not guilty of this as well. You hear people talking about, source for good inventories. You have to list all the time, like I said. You have to be able to ship your items out on time. These things, don't get me wrong, they are not bad in itself. These are things that would definitely, overall make you succeed as a reseller, especially when you are trying to build, a business. Of course, these are things that you cannot also do without. You cannot, do without not shipping your items, because sooner or later it's going to catch up with you. eBay is going to see that you are not shipping your items on time. They are pretty much going to start to, take you out of a top rated seller position that you possibly are, to the above average, seller position, and then it comes below average, and it just keeps going on and on until eBay will eventually throw you out. This is how it happens. And yes, these are good things that we ought to do, but there's something that is kind of conspicuously missing, about you succeeding on this business. If you want to really treat eBay as a business, you want to succeed, you want to be able to retire yourself, or quit your 9-to-5 job. You see, there's something that people, including myself, also don't talk about a lot. You see, this morning I came here. Yesterday we had fun. I was with the kids, with my wife. We went, very far away, had a very beautiful time. Because last week was a lot of work. The work was just not ending. Of course, I am happy that there is something to do. Because if you do not have something to do, it's also not a good thing, because you are not going to be able to get money, to meet your needs. You're not going to be able to get money to pay your bills. And there's also a kind of stress that comes to the fact that you do not have anything to do. So last week, man, computers were selling. eBay was like open from nowhere. But then I also told you guys that, guys, a lot is right now going on. Of course, I was able to handle all the work, and when it was Sunday, I said to my family, look, we have to go take a break. Let's just go somewhere, visit, the mountains, which we did. The kids had a very beautiful time. And this morning, being Monday, I was like, okay, let me come back to the warehouse and continue from where I stopped. Of course, things also sold over the weekend. We had a Lenovo PC selling, and we also had a Fujitsu Esprimo PC selling, some hard drives, some graphic cards, few items like this sold. And I felt like, okay, Monday, I'm just going to come here in like full chill, haven't rested yesterday. I'm going to come here and just, start to work on the items I need to ship out today. I have these 3 Fujitsu Esprimo that needs to be sent out. I already did a little bit of work on these pieces on Saturday. So I felt like this is supposed to be easy, on Monday. Now that I'm here in the warehouse, I came at about 8 o'clock. My intention was just to, go ahead, quickly pack these pieces up, possibly make a video while doing it, share a tip or two with you guys, and then that was all that was planned. All right. But then as soon as I came here, you wouldn't believe it that these pieces, even though as at Saturday, everything was pretty much set up, but from nowhere, this PC, one of them had a fade hard drive. This hard drive right here, it's a 1 terabyte NVMe SSD, and this is not something that happens all the time. The hard drive now, for one reason or the other, doesn't seem to work. See, this little thing here has taken me right now more than 3 hours, trying to troubleshoot this thing. Why is this thing not working? This is supposed to be in very good condition. Why, is it not working? You see, I had to figure out a lot of stuff, just to finally realize that, the hard drive in itself doesn't work. I wouldn't know why, but then I'm just thinking, for this little troubleshoot I have done now, I have spent 3 hours, So that brings me to exactly what I'm talking about. If you want to also succeed on this eBay street, you have to have some special kind of character. And most times, the character you have to have, people are going to call you delusional in most cases, because a station where you have to spend, 3 hours trying to troubleshoot just one little problem, This is part of the job. Nobody's going to pay you for those 3 hours, but you have to be happy doing it. If you are somebody that's going to consider an hourly rate, how much am I going to make now that I'm troubleshooting this thing? Who's going to pay for the hours I'm going to spend doing this? Then I want to imagine that reselling might not be for you, because there are going to be different situations that's going to take time from you. Going to be different situations that's going to frustrate you. And if you are not that person that have these characters that reselling also requires, man, I'm even thinking that you can actually succeed reselling without not doing this without not doing most of this advice that we are being told to do, listing, shipping your idea. You can also still succeed. But if you do not have that character of being able to hold on even when things are falling apart, that character trait of being able to follow through, you are having problems, you don't just give up easily. Yes, reselling, if you want to succeed here on this street, you must be that person that have the character of not just giving up so easily, because when problems comes and you are prone to just saying, what, I don't care, I don't think I'll do this anymore, you give up. Yeah, you're not going to succeed here, doing reselling as a business. If you want to treat it as a hobby, of course, this is not what we are talking about. I'm talking about you that's thinking of, using reselling as a vehicle to paying your bills, to paying for your car notes, to paying for your insurance, to paying for your phone bills and all that stuff. If you want to treat this in as a business, there's definitely going to be that situation. It doesn't matter how decent or how I also hear people talk about systems and processes. It's okay. I understand that. Like I said, don't get me wrong. These are very good things to have, but sometimes it doesn't matter how good your systems and processes are. There is just going to be that one transaction, that one situation that you have not planned for, or even if you have planned for it, you didn't see it coming from nowhere. Boom, it has happened. Now you have to deal with it. You might be lucky if you're able to come out of it after about 2 hours or after about 1 hour, but then you must be that person that is able to say, you know what, it doesn't matter what the situation is bringing me. I understand that right now this is just a whole shit show, but I am going to follow through. I'm going to pull through it. I'm going to see how I would solve this problem. And at the end of the day, sometimes you might end up solving the problem for like 3 hours, or even 4, even 5 hours, even a whole day. There are certain times where a particular troubleshoot session actually did cost me a whole day. This was anyway why I was still trying to figure out a lot of stuff. But in the recent times, sometimes you have situations where a little problem just takes like 2 hours from you. Yes, you should be able to finish the problem and say, yes, I did it. I'm going to move forward. You're not going to begin to mourn and begin to ask yourself, so how much am I going to make from this transaction that I should lose 2 hours? That situation is going to come, and this is exactly why it is your business, because a worker is not going to do that for you. A worker is not going to have that motivation, to stay even when it's running late. Sometimes I stay here in the warehouse up to 9 o'clock in the evening, 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock in the night, sometimes in extreme situations, just because I want something sorted out before the next day. See, if you do not have that character, it's not the end of the road. You still can build it, but just understand that it's not just enough for you to list items, not just enough for you to, to ship out your items, to buy, good inventories. There is also a place for you to be that internally driven person, that person that has a character that is so strong that people might even think there's something wrong. You should have that character that is not prone to giving up in the slightest, face of challenges. If that character is not there, definitely it's going to be difficult. You're going to be thinking you are in business, but you're not going to be making a lot of progress. But if you have that character, definitely you are able to pull through situations that might want to, make you give up, that might want to destroy your business. And if you can really pull that character on the table and use it in conjunction with every other thing that has been talked about, which is listing items, shipping your items on time, checking what your competitions are doing, checking that your titles are like on point, well optimized, you are just going to be unstoppable. And this is coming from my own personal experience. Hope it helps you. If it did, please go ahead, click on the like button, subscribe to the channel. Until I see you again in the next one. Peace.